We're going to talk a little bit about directional placement. So what I mean by that is the direction in which we're placing the lash extension on the natural lash. So natural lashes, as you'll notice, they don't typically all grow the way that we would want them to. They don't all grow in the same direction. A lot of them can have a kink one way or curls or be crisscrossing. And if we followed that specifically, we would get a lot of crisscross lashes, we'd get a really messy final look, and oftentimes you would see really a significant area that looks different from the rest. And I see this a lot with side sleepers or face sleepers where they have a little bit of a cow look or a kink, or a kink of the lashes going one way. So if we followed that exactly, we wouldn't have that tidy look that we want in the end. See how these lashes are all growing towards the inner corner? Now, the other reason we need directional placement is not only to correct the way that the natural lashes grow, but also to style the eyes. So for example, if a client had a shorter or smaller eye and they want to really elongate the eye, we would want to place all of our lashes on the outer corners in just sort of an outward direction so that you really create that cat eye look and that feline flick in the outer corner and even the inner corner in some cases. Now, if the client, for example, had a really droopy eye or a bit of a lazy eye and they want that lifted up, you're going to want to place all your lashes so that they're drawing the attention upwards. So this is all about styling the lash. Directional placement really does totally change the look. Now, it takes tons of practice to get this right. So you just have to keep practicing at it until you get it how you want. But just start practicing this right from the start in which direction you're going to place these lashes. And I'll show you, for example, how we're going to elongate the eye, which I find this is really common with a lot of clients. We're going to show elongating the eye. Now, just because a client has, a really long eye that's already naturally elongated doesn't mean that they aren't going to want to accentuate that. And vice versa, somebody might have a smaller eye but they just want it to look more lifted and open, and they're not worried about the cat eye look or elongating those outer corners. So that's why your client consultations are so important, to figure out not only what the client's eye looks like, but also what they're looking for and what they're expecting for the end result. So for our practice here, I am going to just draw this out using my pink pen here so we can show you in which direction we want these to go. So for this client, we're wanting to elongate those outer and inner corners. So you can see we want these lashes going out in this direction. And we're going to do the same, gradually coming into the middle. Now, typically in the middle, we're going to want to do a little straighter lash there to lift the center of the eye up in most cases. Like I said, it really depends on the client. It's all going to depend on your styling. And then we gradually start shifting outwards again. So I'm just drawing the lines so that just for practice, as you're first starting this, I think it is really helpful if you just sit down and practice a lot on your mannequin head, these different directions that you're wanting the lashes to go. So out here, this one, I may even want it going out a little bit more this way. So I can just draw that arrow in and show that I want it fully going, and we can just get rid of that. Just show that we want it fully going outwards, and just to give us that idea that we want to go outwards on the outer corners. And this just gives us a little guideline to work with. So I'm going to grab one of my lashes here. So we're going to be placing one on the outer corner. Now, these ones, we're going to want them kind of pointing this way, but rather than moving the lash, I'm going to want to move my tweezer. So you can see you need that flexibility where you're using this finger to control it and moving the tweezer the way that you want it to go. Because you still want the base of that lash to be attached. So even if it is getting placed a little bit off to the side of the lash, you want to make sure you have a really good bond, a really good attachment. So I'm just going to re-dip that in glue so that we can get that to attach properly. And then when I apply this lash here, we've got a little bead of glue, just shimmy that. So we've got it shifted to the outside. We place the lash on. Now you have just a second to adjust it the way you want. So it's gone too much that way, so I'm just gonna send it back just a little. So you can just shift the lash using your other tweezer exactly to how you want it, but you don't have too long to be able to do this. So I'm gonna attach my lash right here, and we're gonna send it out in this direction. So I'm gonna wanna angle my tweezer just so that I can have it angled outwards. I don't want to attach it right on because that's not gonna elongate the lash at all. So I need to tilt my tweezer so that lash is gonna be able to be moved outwards. So I'm gonna go ahead, dip that in the glue. And come in and apply that right on top here, the natural lash. Now I have just a second to turn it the way I want. Since I want it outwards, I have a second to just turn that the way that I'm wanting it to go, to just follow those arrows. But you can see at the base that I still have that really good bond, even though I'm sending it outwards. So that's why I really like the Rapid Lash adhesive. It grabs really quickly to the natural lash, but it's flexible. It's a 1 to 2 second dry time, so it gives you enough time to push the lash in the direction that you're wanting it to go, so that you can start creating that outward direction if that's the direction that you're going for. With a 0.5 second dry time, you have barely any time to readjust, as you just a split second to adjust that. So unless you're very experienced, I recommend working with a slower drying time. If you're brand new working at this, the 3 to 4 second drying time may be better for you while you're practicing your directional placement. Now in the middle, I'll show a lash going in there. I'll select a lash in the middle. And for this purpose, we're going to put it right on top, because we want it lifting that innermost portion of the eye. Just getting a little glue. Come in with my extension right on top. There's a little too much glue. Just shimmy that on and place. So this one's going exactly with that arrow, perfectly straight. Now, if her natural lashes, which they often do, grow in a different direction, sometimes you have to put it off to the side and attach just to the side of the natural lash. But make sure you're getting that really good bond. Make sure you still have that really good glue bond. Sometimes you won't get quite the long bond that you're going to get with every lash, but directional placement is just so important for creating that perfect look in the end. Now, another thing when we're applying, we'll apply on the inner corner here as well. I'm just going to switch over to my inner corner tweezer for that, because it's always just so much easier to have that angle to get in. Now, when we're applying our lash and we're just moving it like I showed after we place it, and then I move it a little bit in the tweezer just to send it in the direction that I want it to go, it always has to be isolated for that. If it's not isolated and you're moving it about, tilting and twisting it just a little bit with your tweezer, that's how you end up with stickies. So that's how this lash would actually get attached to this lash next to it. And stickies are really uncomfortable for the client because it's two lashes that are growing at two different lengths trying to grow out together so they can pull at each other and pull each other out, which we definitely don't want. So just make sure, so when we're applying the lash, we'll come in and apply this lash here, that after we have that applied, it has to be isolated when we move it. So I've got this, and then I'm just tilting it with my tweezer. Has to stay isolated while I do that. While I do that little micro movement with my tweezer, it has to stay isolated for that 1 to 2 seconds until that glue dries, depending on your glue dry time, of course, to get that in the direction we're wanting it to go. So you can see there, this is just a starting example, and you'll want to play around with this. It all depends on the client. But you can see how it's starting to show. We've got the outer corners here, which are sweeping outwards. And as you come through, you eventually want to do less and less of that curve. Now, for example, I'm going to try to show one more lash here and just show the side attachment, because sometimes you will have to attach to the side of a lash in order to get it the way you want it to go with those really stubborn lashes that are growing every which direction that they want to go. So we'll just come in, twist our tweezer, attach to the side. You still want that base attached really direct. Get that right on there. Then we want it going a little bit more this way, so we're just going to adjust it exactly to where we want it. We can hold it even and then let go once that's been dried. I'm just going to show this image again one more time, showing directional placement and how it can really create a uniform and beautiful look at the end of your set, and to just show how, you know, those natural lashes, they can grow any which way, but we can always make them look a certain way in the end. We do that all with directional placement. So this is just one of the really important things that you want to just keep practicing, keep tilting and twisting your tweezers, and practice getting a really good bond on those lashes to get you that really beautiful directional placement that's going to make your sets look so amazing.